realtors, okay? Susie's unique approach made all the difference. We tried other realtors, blah, 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 okay? The above results are not by coincidence, they're by design, okay? I didn't just get lucky. There's a reason my homes sell quicker and for higher average prices. Susie Realtor uses a unique 7-step strategy to ensure all her listings sell. All of them sell, okay? By the way, that 7-step strategy is the content of the 8 in 8 postcard campaign. You are detailing your 7-step strategy in a sequentially unfolding manner. The bottom of each postcard reads, "To be continued," and then you layer on the next step in the next postcard. Again, the entire point being to differentiate yourself from the average realtor. And this kind of quarterly postcard validates that, okay? By the way, Dawn, if you're new and you get a listing and it sells, you need to send this out immediately because you'll be the only realtor with 100% listing sold, okay? So whatever advantage you have, you got to use it. All right, so here's the neighborhood farming dialogue. So it's not just mailing. We're going to recommend that if you can get the phone numbers through whatever means, and we can talk about devious ways to do that, we're going to recommend you call in at least quarterly, and here's what it sounds like. You know, hi, this is Frank with RE/MAX. I'm simply calling around the neighborhood to see who you may know at this time that's interested in buying or selling real estate, okay? And then as the conversation develops, hey, have you been getting my monthly postcards? Do you find the information helpful? What other information would you like? Have you ever considered selling your home? Hey, thanks, and have a great day, okay? Real simple dialogue. You can use this in a live conversation or in a voicemail. And I would always coach you to leave a voicemail, okay? Just saying the same thing. Same thing right there. What this is doing is layering on your profile, your awareness in the neighborhood, people's awareness of you by making these calls. Okay? And if you do it quarterly, your first quarter, if you started with an 8 in 8, they will have heard from you 10 times by the time you make this call. Oh yeah, I know who you are. Everybody knows who you are. Okay? So hopefully it'll be a warm call. By the way, where do you get phone numbers? Anybody have a source? Bathroom walls. There are some numbers in there. Okay, so you can buy them. Is anybody using First American Titles REI source? Okay, you might reisource.com. It's actually, if I'm coaching geographic farming, but if you wanted to do demographic farming, it's an amazing tool. I mean, you can screen it by homeowners who've lived in their home 5 to 8 years, you know, the prime time to move, people making over $150,000, people who have at least 20% equity in their home. I mean, extremely detailed information. And some of their files come with phone numbers. If you're farming FSBOs or expires, you can get those phone numbers from a source such as the RedX or from LandVoice. But you can be devious about this too. You know, when I first got into professional sales 20 plus years ago selling insurance, my wife worked for Southwestern Bell and I got a copy of the employee directory, okay? I got myself a wireless headset, locked myself in the conference room and just started dialing Southwestern Bell employees. Okay, I probably should pause the video. Don't do that. All right, don't ever share this. But I have volunteered for the Neighborhood Watch Committee in my new neighborhood. Guess what that comes with? A complete list of homeowner contact information. Multiple phone numbers for each household, okay? So just think about it. Is it the PTA? Is it the church directory? You know, what sources do you have and what sources do your sources have to gather this information? Because I can guarantee you nobody else is doing it. And if you decide I'm going to own this neighborhood, this geographic area, then go deep on it. and use all possible sources to get all information so that you're not just mailing. When you knock on that door, you can call them by name or call them on the phone. Move up buyer call. We're just throwing this in as a freebie. It's kind of even outside the scope of what I'm talking about right now, but I told you we're going to give you about 6 or 7 different ways to generate business in this marketing class. Here's a call that you can make into a neighborhood at any time. And if you make it into your geographic farm, all the better. So, hi, this is Frank with RE/MAX. And since interest rates are near an all-time low, or because we're moving into the fall when we have a greater selection of inventory, I'm simply calling to ask if you're interested in leveraging yourself into a new home, okay? Yeah, as you know, it's been extremely tight through the summer, but we have a lot more to show you than we've had in months. Well, I'd like to sell my house first. Okay. Well, it would be my pleasure to help you sell your home, right? So just great dialogue. I'll need to ask you a few questions so I can prepare a proper set of pricing tools, and you go to the pre-listing questionnaire, okay? And if they say no, we're real happy, we're not moving, well, great. Well, who do you know at this time who'd like to take advantage of a greater selection of home inventory than we've had all year? Okay? So that's just a little freebie we're throwing in. All right, so neighborhood websites. We do not recommend that you create a neighborhood website unless you're a Tier 2 plus agent, and that means you have an assistant or you have somebody who can do this for you, because it's primarily an administrative task, and if you're a Tier 1 agent, you need to be focused on dollar productive activity, okay? But as you grow, think about this. If you could be the source of neighborhood information, and that means the names of babysitters and the hours the pool is open and the days that the trash collection takes place. You could even have a chat board like my last neighborhood did, where people can report crimes and all kinds of, oh boy, it got exciting, I'm telling you. That would be pretty cool if you provided that, if your HOA doesn't, and many neighborhoods don't have a website, okay? But what could you do right now? Because I don't think we have any Tier 2 agents here, right? Does anybody have an assistant now? Okay, so I told you I would share with you a way to do this that's really simple and fun and perhaps more effective than a website, and that is a Facebook fan page for your neighborhood. And again, that's a reason to knock on doors, okay, to promote the Facebook page, get people posted on there. If they will like that page, they're going to be notified whenever you or anybody else in the neighborhood, updates. It can be the source of information and gossip and all kinds of stuff. Have you done that, Dawn? Or you?
Not for this, but for other things.
For others. And it's fairly simple, isn't it? Yeah, much simpler than a website. But it'll be something, because everybody's on Facebook every day. I think they're much more likely to get your updates and your posts than if they had to intentionally go to a separate website. Okay? So if I was choosing right now, website or Facebook fan page, I would probably go Facebook fan page. I think you're going to get more activity. Okay? All right. Financial consequences of property calls. So we're shifting gears here. We're out of Smart Farm. And we're talking about the other prospecting source when people call us off of our yard sign or our home ads. What do we say? So we're going to talk around some dialogue that will hopefully improve your conversion rates. So just look with me at the first column. I mean, this is our typical financial consequences page where we go through your results at the beginning phase, as you move towards mastery, and then ultimately when you are proficient in the source. But just look at the first column with me. If over the course of a year you have 20 listings, and by the way, is that a realistic number over the course of a year to get 20 listings? Is that possible? If you have any doubts about that, go back and watch the FSBO class on YouTube or the expired class. It's absolutely possible. I mean, the prospecting sources are how you get those listings. And it is possible. But so let's presume you get 20. 10 calls per listing. Is that realistic, listing agents? 10 calls per listing? Okay, Rod says no. I see others say yes. What would be a more realistic number, Rod?
I don't know. I mean, we've been out here a long time. We put a sign in the yard. We really don't think we're going to get much the phone calls coming in off our signs in this office that go onto the property.
Yes.
More so than going to the agent.
Yeah.
If we get an actual sign call.
Yeah.
That, for us, is a rarity.
Yeah, okay. And I shouldn't just say sign, but off the listing on har.com, but basically some promotion of the property that generates a lead to you, okay?
Get more from farmers.
A call. Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. HAR is a rich source of property calls. So what we're going to deal with here is what do you say when the call comes in? Whether they found you off the yard sign or off har.com or any other advertising or promotion you did on the property. Okay? So between all sources, 10 is going to be our working number. So over the course of a year, 200 talks on the phone, a set rate of 15%. And what that means is a set to an appointment, because we're going to coach you that when these calls come in, what you're going to try to close them to is not a property showing, but a face-to-face conversation. Okay? So 15% of the time. Total set 30, 50% of them show up. These are very conservative numbers. Total 15 meetings, 45% of them will convert to a transaction. So total out of the source, 7. And then you could put in your average GCI here, 4,500, 6,000 or whatever, and get total income from the source. The point is, when you have an existing relationship, primarily a listing, you need to think of it not just as a transaction, but all the transactions that can come from it. So it's basically that listing has become a lead generation source for you. And you need to focus just as intently on capturing those leads that come from it as you did on getting that listing to begin with. Okay? So we're saying here 20 listings can generate an additional 7 transactions. But if you move towards efficiency and ultimately proficiency or mastery, you can bump that up. I've heard coaches say as much as 1-to-1. I think that's unrealistic. I don't know of anybody who's done a 1 listing results in 1 additional transaction number. I've heard Tom Ferry coach that. But you can certainly do more than a third. You can get that up to, let's just say, half. You know, so 10 additional transactions per 20 listings. Now you're at 30 for the year. That's pretty significant. So here's the no-do-have of the property call plan. So we're marketing. It's a marketing source. We're saying yard signs or har.com or remax.com or however your number and website information gets out there. The specific strategies that label the caller method, what you need to know is greeting dialogue, labeling dialogue, and justification dialogue. And justifying the meeting, that's what that means. Okay? And what you need to have is a listing and a tracking sheet. You get the listing, we'll give you the tracking sheet. Is that fair? I'm sorry, I'm not a comedian, but every once in a while I'll try to be funny, and just a little snicker would be helpful. Okay, so before we get into it, we're going to pause here just a second, check our attitudes, make sure we're on channel, because anytime we do proactive lead generation, anytime we enter into a conversation with a goal of lead conversion, we need to make sure that we're thinking properly, because our behavior is always an afterthought. So here's our core entrepreneurial beliefs, real estate sales beliefs, and buyer beliefs. Just take a minute and read through those. Focus on the buyer beliefs in the last section, because that's specifically what we're trying to convert right now. So of the buyer beliefs, are there any that really resonate with you? Like, oh yes, that's my belief. Number 4. If they won't meet with me, they're not a buyer. That's normally where I get the biggest pushback. But why do you say that resonates with you?
They either want to see the house and the decorations and stuff like that. They don't want to proceed any further.
Right. That's right. That's right. Okay, so they're really not a buyer, but they really do have a curiosity about the property. Yep, you've experienced that. Okay? Anybody else? Any of these buyer beliefs resonate with you? Are there any you don't understand or don't make sense? How about number one, time reveals all? What in the world does that have to do with converting a buyer? Anybody wonder that? Have we talked through this before? Time reveals all. Okay, let me just speak to that for just a moment. By the way, our only limitation in life is what? It's time. That's it. That is our only limitation. So we have to be extremely intentional about how we spend our time. And that's why we're going to coach you to be intentional with buyers, because buyers are the biggest time suck in our business. Okay? So we've got to be extremely careful when these buyer calls come in, yard sign calls come in, how we handle them, because we can spend 80 hours a week being busy in this business and have nothing to show for it. So when dealing with buyers, we want to put them through a very intentional process. That's what the strategy we're teaching, label the caller, to determine if they're really a buyer before we start spending time with them. Because the alternative to letting our process determine if they're really a buyer is to let time reveal if they're a buyer. Because ultimately time will reveal all, right? We can put them in our car, we can drive them around, we can waste 3 Saturdays and a couple tanks of gas, and guess what? Oh, they're not a buyer. Time will ultimately reveal all. But that is a default belief. It's not a proactive belief. We don't want time. We don't want to leave it in the hands of time. We want to leave it in the hands of our process to determine if they're really a buyer. Okay? Any other comment on buyer beliefs? Okay, so let's get into it. Property call dialogue. Here's typical. They're calling in. Hello? Yeah, I'm calling about your listing on 123 Easy Street. Well, what would you like to know? How much are they asking for the house? List price $150,000. Well, how many bedrooms does the home have? Well, that home has 4 bedrooms. Okay, thank you. No problem. Have a nice day. Here comes the typical complaint. I never get any good buyer leads. I never get any good property calls. Okay, it's a waste of time to sit up here for 4 hours. Okay, nobody ever good calls me. Okay, so we're obviously agent is out of control here. Buyer called in, wanted some information, got some information, was on their way down the road. Okay, agent has nothing to show for it. So we're going to coach you a different process. And here, if you look at the bottom of page 14, here's what it looks like. First of all, when a buyer call comes in, we're going to answer any and all of their questions. Okay? They're calling for information. They're coming to the information source. We need to respond in that manner. So we're going to wear an information giver hat. That's our role when they call. Secondly, we're going to identify exactly where they are in the buying process. So now we've taken off our information giver hat and put on our labeler hat. And we're going to go through a very specific questioning process to label them as an A buyer or not. And then we're going to close or follow up accordingly. Close to what? What are we? To an appointment, to a face-to-face appointment, or take appropriate action, which might be thanks and have a nice day, or it might be let me have my loan officer give you a call, let me put you in touch with my credit repair company, whatever. Follow up or take appropriate action. Okay? Okay, so here's the dialogue that we're going to coach you to use, and it's really built around staying engaged. Okay, not just giving information, but every time you give information, you ask for information. Okay, so you stay in, the person who's asking questions is the one who's in control of the conversation. So every time you give, you take. Here's what it sounds like. Hey, I'm calling about your listing on 123 Easy Street. Yes, that's a great property. What would you like to know? Well, how much are they asking for the house? The list price is $150,000. That's what the typical agent says, but now we follow up. We go beyond. Does that fit your price range? Does that fall within your financial comfort zone? Put it in words that you like to say, but follow up with a question that's related. Well, yes, but how many bedrooms does the house have? That home has 4 bedrooms. Are you looking for a 4-bedroom? Would a 4-bedroom satisfy your family's needs? No, we're only looking for 3 bedrooms. If the home meets the first 3 caller needs, they ask 3 questions and it's yes, 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 then move directly to the labeling phase. Take off information giver, put on labeler, and ask, well, say, this home sounds like a great option for you. May I ask how you're going about finding your perfect home? Okay, so you've identified this sounds like it's a good fit. What process are you using to find your perfect home? By the way, why is that a legitimate question at this point? Okay, so we do need to find out if they're working with another agent. However, they have revealed, haven't they, by calling off a yard sign, that they're not using an intentional and proactive process. And if they're working with an agent, their agent is not using an intentional and proactive process. If you were in a relationship with a buyer, would you want them calling other agents off yard signs? No. Okay, so you're going to go deeper on this process. Okay? Keep providing the looker with information and re-engaging until you hear no. So if they say yes, 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 then go ahead and move to labeler. Okay? Otherwise, when you hear no, you need to switch to labeler. And here's the dialogue for that. It's the last sentence on the page. Are you currently in the market for a new home? Okay, very non-threatening question and very related to the call. Okay, they're calling for information. You answer questions, 4-bedroom, neighborhood, school district. Nope, that's not what we wanted. Oh, well, tell me, are you currently in the market for a new home? Okay, so once relevant information has been provided, you move to the label the caller role by asking, are you currently in the market for a new home? If they say yes, you move to the process question, how are you going about finding your perfect home? And this is where you may uncover an agent relationship, and we're going to go deeper on that if that's what they say. But if their answer reveals that they're not being intentional, and their answer will always reveal that. We know that because of the process they're using with us. Okay? If they're not being intentional, we simply say, well, how would you like to use a proactive process that ensures you get the home you want and want the home you get? Okay? Well, what do you mean by that? What would that involve? What does that entail? So here we go. This is very important dialogue right here. It would begin with us getting together for about an hour so I can uncover exactly what you need in your next home, define your financial comfort zone, and thoroughly discuss the roles and expectations we would have of one another in a win-win relationship. Okay? 3 key points in that dialogue. Did you pick them up? Number 1 is what? What are we going to do first? We're going to uncover their needs. Secondly, define their financial comfort zone. And third, it's right, a mutual expectations conversation. Okay, so their needs, their financial comfort zone, and our mutual expectations of each other. You're going to hear, by the way, those 3 come up again and again and again when we talk about buyer conversion and listing conversion, because those are the 3 issues you need to define in each case. Okay? So does that sound like an approach that would benefit you? Yes? Okay, great. Well, I've got tomorrow available at 2. Would that work for you? How about tonight at 7? Whatever. Close for the appointment. If no, you can simply say, oh, well, thanks and have a nice day. Okay? Yeah, you don't want to work on a proactive process on the biggest financial transaction of your life. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day. You wouldn't actually say that, but you can exit the phone call. If it's gotten uncomfortable for you, you don't know what else to say, just sign off graciously. However, we're not bombarded with buyer phone calls every day, are we? I mean, when a buyer calls, I mean, that's an event, right? That's a lead conversion opportunity. We put a lot of effort into generating that lead. We want to convert it if we can. So I would encourage you, hang in there, and here's a little bit of advanced dialogue. Well, share with me why you feel that way. I mean, why wouldn't you want to get together? Why don't you see value in taking a proactive approach to finding your perfect home? Okay? This dialogue demonstrates an eagerness to help, which is highly attractive and frankly missing in a lot of agents, okay, who are just hoping it lands in their lap. You're hanging in there. You're going for it. You recognize this person needs some help, whether they realize it or not, and I'm in a position to help them. I'm not just going to turn away at the first no. I'm going to stay in there and see if I can do what needs to be done, say what needs to be said to get them where they want to go, okay? So, if they immediately see a benefit in working with you, book the appointment. Write and mail a thank you card if the appointment's out far enough that the card can get there, or more likely send a text message or a Facebook message or an email message thanking them and confirming the appointment, okay? And then call 4 hours before the appointment to confirm it, because professionals always confirm. Always confirm. Set an appointment with your doctor and see if you don't get a phone call 3 days before, 2 days before, 1 day before, 2 hours before, okay? It's a machine, I know, but professionals always confirm. Okay, page 17. What if they say they're working with an agent? So you've asked the question, are you currently in the market for a new home? Yep. How are you going about finding your perfect home? What's your process? Okay, here it is. We're working with an agent. It is perfectly acceptable at this point to say, well, congratulations, that's fantastic, thank you, have a nice day. Have your agent call me if I can help in any way. That's perfectly acceptable, okay? But again, if you want to hang in there, you can go a little bit deeper to determine exactly the nature of that relationship. And here's some dialogue for that. Then what process are you using, or is your agent using, to guarantee you get the home you want, and more importantly, want the home you get? Okay? Now remember, this person called you. You did not call them. Okay? So I think there's some justification for staying in dialogue. Well, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Well, didn't your agent spend time with you up front? Here we go. Here's those three again. Defining your perfect home, uncovering your needs is another way of saying that, verifying your financial parameters, and thoroughly discussing the roles and expectations necessary for a successful working relationship. Didn't your agent do that? There's an assumptive tone in your voice. Don't all agents do this? Didn't your agent do this? By the way, did their agent do this with them? No, of course not. They wouldn't be calling you if their agent had done that. Their agent would have made it very clear that the agent is the point of contact with all other real estate professionals, okay? Not the buyer out there randomly calling off yard signs, okay? Well, no, they didn't, or well, I don't know. I guess he did. I'm not sure. We did talk. I mean, he asked me how many bedrooms I wanted, okay? Well, would you see value in being a little more intentional and proactive in your approach? Yeah, probably so. Okay, so now you have to understand the nature of their relationship with that agent before you go any further. And so here's the question. Did you sign anything with your agent? Okay. By the way, if they say yes, what might be an appropriate follow-up question? Yeah, I signed something.
Good luck.
Good luck. Okay. All right. This is advanced dialogue. Was it a one-page document or a 4-page document? What's the difference? IABS or buyer's rep agreement. If it's IABS, I say open season. The client is clearly not being served well and they are not in a contractual relationship with an agent. If they say buyer's rep agreement, whoop, thank you, have a nice day. At that point, you have to back off. Okay? And if they say, but oh, we want to work with you, we like what you're saying here, our agent, and it's like, I'm sorry, you have to back off. And you can tell them that buyer's rep agreement is a contractual relationship, and I am legally not permitted to interfere with that. So as long as that's in place, I cannot help you. Okay? You back off then. But you've gone way, way deeper and uncovered many more buyer opportunities than the typical agent would. Either by just giving the information and hanging up, or finding out they have an agent, they know an agent, cousin Billy Bob has a real estate license, and hanging up, okay? Hang in there to determine the relationship. That's completely legitimate. All right. So, what if they say they're not currently in the market for a home? Okay, so remember that's your first labeling question. Are you currently in the market for a new home? Nope. So here's a perfectly legitimate follow-up. So hey, what initiated your call today? What do you really want to say? Why are you calling me? You're not looking for a home, you're calling me asking about a home? Okay, well I'm just curious, okay? Just looking. Maybe it's the neighbors, okay? They want to know what the Joneses are selling for, who knows? Okay, so but you go deep because you got them on the phone, right? So, well, do you currently own a home? Yeah, we do, actually right down the street from your listing. Okay, well, have you ever thought about selling it? Okay, we're just digging for any opportunity here to enter into a relationship. Nope, not interested in selling. We're here for the long run. Okay, great. Well, who do you know who might be interested in buying or selling at this time? You could even go deeper than that. Have you ever thought about investing in real estate? Okay? Just mine it for every possible nugget since you have them on the phone. Okay, if you get nowhere, no, here we go. It was a pleasure speaking with you. If I can ever be of service to you or anybody you know, any referral opportunity, please don't hesitate to call. Okay, so all this dialogue is wrapped around labeling the caller. Are they a legitimate buyer or not? If they will not meet with me, what does our core belief say? They're not a buyer. They're not a buyer. You have to believe that, or you're gonna let time reveal whether they're a buyer or not. And that's very costly. Okay? If they say they're just looking, and you'll hear this quite often, they're not going to say, no, we're not looking, because then they feel dumb about calling you. They'll say, no, we're just early in the process. We're waiting till the new year. We're waiting until school's out. We're not going to do anything for a number of months. You want to follow up on that. So, in this example, well, when do you think you'd be ready to buy? Well, probably 2 to 12 months. That's pretty broad. Let's just say 6 months from now. Well, what's important to you about waiting 6 months? Why is it important to follow up with that question?
Find out that a lease.
Okay, and a lease would be a legitimate reason for waiting, wouldn't it? Do potential buyers ever have illegitimate reasons for waiting? Okay, such as, well, my friend told me that I needed 20% down to qualify for a loan, and it'll be 6 more months until we save up 20%. Okay? Can you help somebody who's only got 10% saved up buy a home today? Your loan officer might be able to do that. Okay? They may be waiting on a promotion that they need to buy the home. Okay? That could be legitimate. It could not be. You need to know why is getting this promotion crucial to you purchasing the home? Well, I'm expecting to get a $5,000 raise, and that's going to enable us to buy a $150,000 home. Oh, really? Have you been working with a loan officer? Have you been pre-approved at that higher income amount? Well, no, we haven't. Well, you know what? Let me have my loan officer give you a call, because guess what? If it's only $5,000, they'll probably qualify now. Probably qualify now at interest rates. So just go deep to determine if you can get them into a relationship now, or put them into one of your ancillary arms to incubate them to be a buyer later on. Okay? So don't give up. The whole point of all of this is, my goodness, if you get a lead generation opportunity, do everything you can to convert it. Don't let them off the hook. Okay, you got a fish on the line, fight them. Fight them, hang in there. Okay, justification dialogue. So sometimes you'll get pushback. Well, what do you mean, get together? Mutual expectations and financial comfort zone. Nobody else has ever asked for that. So here's that justification dialogue that just goes a little deeper on it. Okay, well, don't you see benefit in us getting together? Other agents don't ask me to do this. Exactly. Now let me just say, this is pretty advanced dialogue. If you're going to go here, you might want to have this in your prospecting room, whether that's your office or your closet or wherever. You probably want this dialogue hanging up. Okay, exactly. Understand I'm a real estate consultant. I'm extremely serious about what I do. I don't do this part-time. I run a business, and I'm not just in the business of showing homes. I'm in the business of satisfying needs. Okay? I got to know what you need if I'm going to show you the right home. Okay? So we need to talk. I have a process that I use with all my clients. So you're not just singling them out. Therefore, what we need to do before I start emailing you information or putting you in my car and showing you homes is define your perfect home, make sure the homes we consider fall well within your financial comfort zone, and thoroughly discuss our roles and expectations in a successful working relationship. Last paragraph. I believe the best approach when investing a large sum of money is to operate as an intentional and proactive team. Wouldn't you agree? It's going to be hard for them to say no at this time. I mean, you've clearly differentiated yourself from all other agents. If this is too much, if that dialogue, you're like, oh my goodness, Diane's saying I could never do that, you can drop right here to the third paragraph. Just say that, okay? You know, other agents don't have me do this. Well, I understand that. But I believe the best approach when investing a large sum of money is to operate as a proactive team. Wouldn't you agree? Okay? Just drop right to that. Okay? And then close for the appointment. Now, for those of you who just will not take no for an answer, here's some power phrases. And you can throw these in at any time. And you can just stack one on top of another if you want to. Okay? Well, hey, in regards to your next home, isn't it important that you make an informed, intelligent decision? Isn't it important that you take a proactive approach rather than a reactive one? Isn't it important that you get the home you want, and more importantly, want the home you get? I mean, we don't want a mulligan on a purchase of this size. Is it important that you make a logical decision rather than one based entirely on emotion? By the way, you say that to a lot of guys, you're going to offend them, right? Because we are logical, right? We make rational decisions. So you only want to go here if they're drifting. I mean, they're gone.